never fail to put on a bit of action. The Auto 1 V8 Ute Series, protected by Armour All, is next up at Barbagallo Raceway. It's the third and final race of the weekend and a former star of the category. We saw him in action in the Dunlop Series earlier on. George Badiki's alongside me for this one. This is the final for the weekend, so it's game on.
Yeah, thanks, Dunes. It's like we say, you know, Perth always produces great racing, and Perth plus V8 Utes. I mean, I remember being here last year watching the V8 Ute races when I was in the development series and just sitting on the edge of my seat. These guys go crazy. They go at it, don't they?
Combined points for this one, so the grid will see David Cedars start from pole position. Alongside him, Reece McNally. Adam Marjam's one of the locals in the Auto 1K. He's having his best run this weekend. He's fifth on the grid, and he knows that he's on camera, on tally.
He certainly does. You know, he's had a great result, and definitely will be looking to capitalise in this last race.
Two storylines for this weekend, mate. Tony Longhurst, the two-time Bathurst 1000 champ, having his best run in the Utes. He hasn't been to Barbagallo for 9 years, but he's on the second row with the reigning champ, Ryle Harris. Nathan Pretty, you'll notice, will start from row 3, which you'd expect him to be up the front, but he won the first round in Adelaide. He had a shocker in qualifying. Engine went, started from the back, won the reverse grid race too, and has still got his way up to the front for this third and final race with a full field set to go, but it will become a little bit about tyres as well.
They've always said something about cream rising to the top, and exactly right, like you say, Aaron. I've been doing a bit of research, actually going down, finding out who's got tyres, who hasn't. We'll go through that in a moment.
I tell you what, though, Nathan Pretty was an unhappy man. I bumped into him last weekend at a different sporting venue, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, where North Melbourne got rolled by the Hawks. He was not a happy man, but I tell you what, he's pretty fired up for this final race. He starts from row 3 in that Milwaukee Tools Commodore, but row 2 could be a very good place to be, and Kylie King's down there on the grid.
Ryle Harris, you're the defending champion, but you're yet to win a race. Are you going to spice it up for this one in Perth?
I know, it's been a bit of a drought. I haven't won a race since Bathurst last year, but we're leading the championship, and that's all that matters in this game at the moment. So, you know, we've got a long season ahead, but, you know, I'm definitely going to have a good crack in this race. We've got fresh tyres on the front, and yeah, like you said, I'm due for one.
I'll leave you to it.
Thanks very much.
He's had good history here, Kylie. He's had a win here in races before, but has never won the round. There's how the points look, and he's got 1 point over Reece McNally, who starts on the front row. Gary Baxter, the Ute veteran, starts from third. Nathan Pretty is fourth in the points as well. We'll get this race started at Barbagallo when we come back in just a moment. The V8 Utes are off on their warm-up lap for this final race of the weekend. It's round 2 of the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series, and Andrew Fisher, the Jesus Racing Ford, is starting way back, 26th. He has had a bad weekend. He copped a penalty earlier on in the weekend for passing under yellow flags, and when you have a bad one at the start, it never gets much better.
Yeah, I mean, how uncharacteristic is that? We're used to seeing Fish being one of the most consistent performers, but if we're talking about having a bad start, nothing's worse than Nathan Pretty, and look how he's come back to be third row of the grid.
Yeah, quite amazing. He had an engine drama in qualifying. He started down the back in race 1. He worked his way through about half the field. He won the reverse grid race 2, and with the points he's been able to bundle together from races 1 and 2 for this grid, the qualifying points don't add up into the factor to consider the grid for race 3. So he was hurt from not getting a result there in points, but it's not hurt him for this grid.
Well, exactly right, but also you've got to consider what it's cost him. I went down and talked to him just a moment before the race. He's got no new tyres for this race, so we might be starting off the third grid, but a lot of the guys like Ryle Harris, who you see on screen, he told us before the start of the race he has 2 new fronts on that car, so I'll be looking for him to be a real threat at the start.
Yeah, he was the runner-up in the round here to Kim Jane last year. He was third in 2008, and he won a race here in 2011 and last year, so he does have some good form on the board. David Cedars has good form on the board too. He starts on pole in that number 8 Falcon. He hasn't won a round since the Gold Coast last year, but he's had a win and a 9th in the reverse grid race, where we took the top 20 and reversed them. You reckon reverse 10 in the Dunlop Series is tough work. 20 in the Utes. The last few lining up down the back. We've got a core of the field are Western Australians. Some of them are doing a one-off start this weekend, but it's pretty much the series regulars who are at the front of the field. Last couple of cars are in place as we wait for the green flag. 14 laps for this this final. Cedars and McNally front row. Ryle Harris and Tony Longhurst on row 2. Adam Marjoram and Nathan Pretty next. And then Chris Walton, who does use the bumper, it should be said, on that 68 Falcon. He's not afraid to push his way through the traffic. So the final race of the weekend, Holden and Ford on the front row. Lights on, wait for it to go out, and all hell will break loose. Utes are away at Barbagallo. Reece McNally in the Stratco Commodore in a great new look has got the jump and carves across and takes the lead for turn 1. Great job.
What a great start. I actually raced against him when I was driving the Auto 1 Ute last year, and he beat me both times off the start, so there's a lot of history there. Utes are filing too wide most of the time through the back there. Pretty, looking like he's trying to tuck in behind Chris Walton on lap 1.
Oh, it's a little bit tight just behind there. That's a little tight between Wayne Wakefield. We're back on board with Andrew Fisher. I would not want to be where he is.
Yeah, no, he's in the pressure cooker, isn't he? You know, he's trying to make his way forward. We see Rhett Noonan in front of him as the leaders head down into the bowl.
Love that snarl, but it's McNally who leads Cedars. Harris, Tony Longhurst in the black Commodore. There's my man, Chris Walter, the red go forward, trying to go the long way. Nathan Pretty's down the inside.
Big move, but he just got freight train, so he's open to Pretty now. Also, Kim Jane behind him. He's had a bit of an up and down weekend, but he's got a couple of tyres now and is looking to push on early.
Remember, Kim Jane had a pretty nasty accident the last time we saw the Utes in Adelaide, where that car launched into the tyre bundle at the turn 1 chicane and made a meal of it. They really had to do a lot of work to get this thing back on the road and back here in Western Australia. It's been 9 weeks since the first round on the streets of Adelaide, but it's McNally who leads. Gee, Cedars was in really deep, and I think he got into the back of the leader and he's lifted off the throttle to let him pick it up. But what that's done, it's let Ryle Harris have a go.
Oh, you just don't want to give Ryle Harris a sniff of a chance, do you? So Ryle's going to try and go side by side with Reece, straight into the lead, 2 new tyres. I'd watch out here, boys.
Yeah, I reckon they're going to have a tough time. Look at that. Around the outside, Gary Baxter is trying to round up Tony Longhurst. He's on the inside for the next one. He's got it done. Marjoram's in the gap as well. The young West Aussie has got the Auto 1 car down the inside. No respect for a Bathurst legend. Look at Nathan Pretty. He's in the mix too.
They're all locked up. Tyres are smoking. Guys are pushing and jostling for space. I think is that Jack Ellsgood 2 wheels off the road back there?
I think he's losing plenty of spots now, but Walton down the inside on Longhurst, who's been shuffled back. That's the ex-Cam McConville Bundy Ute from last year that was really strong. It's part of the Williams Race Tech team, and I think from last count they run 9 cars out of 32 in this series, but he's still hung out to dry here. This has gone for half a lap, and now finally Longhurst can carve it back to the inside and try to defend himself.
Yeah, you can see Kim Jane and Stephen White trying to sort of make the most of that whole situation as these guys fight it out, trying to make sure they put themselves in a good position to maybe gain a spot or 2.
Let's have a look at a replay here, George. What's going on here? I sense trouble. There it is. Bazadzik ends up off the road. The chill sign gets obliterated.
I could see you were trying to come up with the pun there, mate.
Yeah, I was looking for the pun. Just didn't have it. Oh, there's the touch. That was on the way through. He just clanged off Rhett Noonan and ended up spearing off.
Just not enough room there, really. Rhett was out on the curb and couldn't really do anything when Bazadzik got out there.
Now, that's Longhurst, the Noosa Marine Commodore. Now, this was when the touch was happening with Cedars and McNally. They lift off. McNally picks it up, and Harris, easiest spot she'll ever get. Squeezes on through, and McNally can't hang on.
Pushes him out into those soft tyre marbles, makes a huge difference to the way the car grips. So obviously Cedars has pushed past McNally in the meantime. Baxter's looking really strong. I actually talked to him again, did my little spy thing. He's got 2 new left side tyres, so this car will be rolling through those corners really well.
Pretty's hung out to dry. Longhurst down the inside. Kim Jane's going with them as well. McNally's running defensive. I don't know where to look. There's one around the background.
They're in the old pit lane entry. Cars are going everywhere.
I can't keep up.
That's Alan Letcher sideways across the track out of the last corner. Nathan Pretty again trying the outside on Stephen White.
And White is in the Dunlop Super Dealer Commodore. That's the Erebus machine. Pretty behind Wayne Wakefield. There's Jesse Dixon, the Heyman Reese Commodore, the winner last year, the Shannon Supercar Showdown. Remember that Jesse raced in the Bathurst 1000. Back on board here with Craig Donis in the Thirsty Camel Commodore. Safety car has been called, and that is Alan Letcher beached as.
I can't believe he can't get going. There's obviously something more of an issue there.
Let's have a look at how he got there to start with. He did get an assist. Copped a bit of a headbutt on the way through. Fonzie Mullen made contact. We've got the safety car out on lap 4 of 14, and the Ute boys are playing for keeps. It's the final one for the weekend. Ryle Harris, the reigning champ, leads the way. More from Barbagallo in just a moment. still under safety car with the Auto 1 V8 Utes Series Race 3 Round 2. Ryle Harris is the leader. This is why the safety car is out. Fonzie Mullen off the curb, hip and shoulder to Alan Letcher, who ends up not getting hit by anybody else, but stuck on the curb. And then, next time around, George Vidicki tells him what he really thinks.
There's a bit of NASCAR in that. There's a bit of Tony Longhurst in that. You know, we know the field. There's a lot of fighters in this field, and they're definitely not afraid to show their displeasure.
Oh, come on, there's a few lovers as well, but there are a few haters and fighters. But we're just rolling around at the moment. Ryle Harris leads the race. David Cedars second, and if they stay where they are, Cedars will win the round, but only by a couple of points. So it's pretty imperative that he stays in front of Reece McNally in the Stratco Commodore. Gary Baxter, series veteran, in fourth. Adam Marjoram next from Chris Walton. Tony Longhurst got boxed around in that first opening stanza. He's seventh. Kim Jane is eighth. Stephen White ninth, and Nathan Pretty will restart from 10th spot. So we'll have 6 laps down this time back to the control line. The Tap Out Energy Falcon stands on the throttle and drives us back to the control line. Green flag flies, and all hell breaks loose once more with the V8 Utes. They've been getting stuck into it already. Half race distance down the inside. Baxter's in the gap. Gets third. He's on a mission.
He's doing a great job, isn't he? You know, with those, like I said, he's taken tyres, but we're seeing a real resurgence in form from him. He's doing a great job this weekend. Good to see him moving forward through the pack.
Up and over this rise, you can see, look at all that tyre debris that's been chunking up from tyres off different categories throughout the course of the day. But Harris pushing clear those 2 new front tyres, giving him an advantage. Oh, Jack Elsgood, the former champ. The hustler's been hustled.
Yeah, that's not a small amount of damage too, so you'd be thinking there's a fair bit of cooling damage. We've got a bit of smoke coming out of the car. I'd just be interested to see just how that happened. And obviously on the run down to turn 1, there's a bit of an accordion effect obviously after the safety car.
Yeah, and the Fuchs Falcon looks like it's been cooked. He's had a 15th and an 18th in the races so far. This might give us a little bit of an insight. Well, it's already happened there.
Yeah.
He ends up pulling off the circuit now.
You definitely keep an eye out for some fluid on the track.
I reckon there's a few of them in it there. Yeah, there's a few of them in it there, because have a look, they're all keeping to the right-hand side of the road, which is not the normal approach. There's plenty of fluid on the road here. They need to be careful.
You can't see it. It's not like your normal oil slick down on the road. So obviously it's very, very slippery. We've got Kim Jane and Steve White side by side. These guys work together, instruct together in fast track racing. Kim Jane off the road.
Don't instruct like that.
And he's going to be picking up marbles, so it's going to take him a couple of corners to sort of re-normalise and get back into the swing of things. I'd say he'd be probably pretty vulnerable the first time they head down into the bowl.
Won the round here last year. He's one of the veterans of the V8 Utes Series. Look at all the frying Yokohamas down at turn 6. Everyone's having a lock-up.
Well, it's the last race. They don't need him after this.
No, that is true.
Throw him in the bin.
Yeah. It's a Ute mentality. Oh, Harris leads the way. Cedars is hanging there, but he just needs to stay second. He'll win the round. He doesn't need to take the win, but he does need to hold off Gary Baxter, who looks really strong. Baxter's one of the veterans. He's been around this category since it began. He's got a lot of experience. So look at everyone. Go right. Just get away from the fluid and then come back to the race line for turn 1 when you clear it. Yeah, well, I'm going to say David Cedars is actually going to have to make a bit of an effort here, because we've seen Gary Baxter's got a lot of pace. You know, he's made a pass on that lap and he's still only a couple of tenths off the pace of Cedars, who was running on his own. So he's really going to have to put the foot down if he's going to keep himself in front of Ryle Harris for the podium for the weekend. Here's the Sage Commodore from South Australia. Baxter's one of only a couple of drivers who've done 300 all-time Ute races. They're closing in on the 300th. That's amazing. Championship race since 2001. It's a category that has just got so strong over the years and attracting the likes of drivers back. Tony Longhurst, who hasn't done full-time racing for some time, had a few guest drives, liked it so much he's got involved this year. This is Wayne Wakefield, another returnee to motor racing. Young Jesse Dixon, though, that's a little cheeky, running him out of road on the exit of turn 6. Yeah, look, Jesse's a racer, you know, he's going to have a crack there. He probably didn't leave him as much room as he should have, but look, you know, all's fair in love and war. Or in a Ute race. Elliot Barber making a move on the inside of Jeremy Jarrah-Gray. And have a look at this. They're just going to stay away there because that's the safest option. Harris continues to lead, 9 down to 14.
Tell you who's impressing me is Adam Marjoram. I mean, we've never really seen him competitively for a full weekend up the front. Obviously, he's a local, but, you know, doing a great job. And we'll just go to the in-car here as he's chasing down Reece McNally, who has been in these cars for a long time and is doing a pretty good job.
You'll notice, too, the shifter is different in the Utes. There's a new shifter for this weekend for all the Falcons and the Commodores, but Marjoram's a local, so he knows his way around here. He ran as a wild card in this category last year, and he's feeling so much more confident. It does help when you've got all your friends and family pumping your tyres and you're going well. But
Tony Longhurst.
Longhurst nearly got to him then.
All out of control, making the move. But and again, Longhurst as well. What a resurgence! You know, he set a lap record here this weekend and is doing a fantastic job in what was the ex-Cameron McConville car that was so successful last year.
Yeah, two-time Bathurst winner. Remember in '88 with Thomas Mazera and with our own Mark Scaife for the Holden Racing team in 2001. Hasn't been here since 2004 when he was driving for Larry Perkins and Rod Nash. But Marjoram's crafting a nice move here. He's trying to get back to Reece McNally, who knows what he's up to and covers that line. And remember, McNally's got something to fight for here. A podium position at the moment. He'll be third for the weekend, which he had a podium in the first round in Adelaide, and he's a young guy who's starting to really string together good consistency.
Yeah, and you know, he's been in this series for a few years now. I think now's about the time for Reece to produce, to be honest. He's doing a great job, and that new livery on the car for this weekend with that red chrome just looks fantastic.
Speaking of producing, you did all right earlier on in race 2 of the Dunlop Series, P2 to Jack Perkins. The final is coming up. What have you got left for that one?
Not much, mate, I'll be honest. You know, Jack and I think, both put on our good tyres for that race, and unfortunately I let him have it at the start. So, look, I think it'll be a good race. Car definitely feels good. I'm taking a lot of good information from my teammate, Ash Walsh. You know, we made a bit of a change to the car for the second race and definitely made it more competitive. So, I'm looking forward to it, you know.
So are we.
Yeah, I reckon it won't be too bad.
Race 3 of the Dunlop Series coming up a little later on, but I think this is not done with yet. Gary Baxter's keeping this pressure on David Cedars. The round wins on the line for the Ford driver.
You can see the confidence in the car. You see Gary's, you know, his line's perfect under braking. He's very, very confident. The car's moving quite quickly. He's pulling him in a couple of tenths a lap now. You know, I really am liking what I'm seeing from Gary Baxter in this last couple of races.
On board with Craig Donis, P13 in the Thirsty Camel Commodore. Became a dad again since we saw him at the last round on the streets of Adelaide. Elliot Barber in behind, who had a really good run on his debut in Adelaide. Did the Dunlop Series last year. You know him quite well. How's he travelling this weekend? He's got him a little bit of drama, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, you know, he's adjusting to that Ute style of racing. You know, there's a bit of bump and grind, there's a bit of push and shove, and it's just knowing just how much is enough. And he might have fallen foul of Paul Stokell yesterday, but look, he's started 17th today. Look, he's moving forward a little bit. I think he's doing a pretty good job, to be honest.
Yeah, Paul Stokell's the driving standards advisor for the V8 Ute Series. Of course, we know Paul so well from his open wheeler racing and Nations Cup Lamborghinis and the like. But Marjoram's looking pretty strong here. He's just got to get drive off turn 6 and have a run at McNally to turn 7. Lap 12 or 14, so running out of laps to do it in. Oh, Wayne Wakefield off the road, but has made it through the sand and got to the exit of the bunker and managed to get going again. Now, Marjoram better be careful here, because if he leaves the door open, Longhurst will fill the gap as well, and everyone just drives straight down the right-hand side of the road.
What a great little battle pack this is. You know, it's a shame that it's taken this corner out of the equation for a passing opportunity, but, you know, we're just seeing such great racing here, which is just a trademark for the V8 Utes, really, isn't it?
One of the things I really like about the Ute Series is their point structure. And you get 35 for a race win, you get 33 for second, 31 for third, but then it's all 1 point increments from there on in. So this championship battle continues to evolve. No one really ever gets away, but you still do get a little bit of a reward for running at the front. Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's quite difficult to get your points back. So, you know, David Cedars is going to have to do some work here. He obviously suffered a big points deficit at Clipsal, as we see one of my IC Communications teammates running around there. But yeah, he's doing a great job, but he's going to have to make a bigger impact than this, you know, to make an impact on the championships picture. This is the fight that is going on outside of the top 20. Good thing is about Utes, doesn't matter where they are in the field, there's usually a Royal Rumble going on. Here's Steve White trying to sneak down the inside on Chris Walton. That's for 7th spot. Now Nathan Pretty will be in like Flynn on this. Have a look at this. Yeah, Nathan. Nathan's not going to give him any room. He's going to put him out into that oil, which is going to really compromise. Hey, he's a Holden driver. The other guy's in a Ford. What do you expect him to do? Look at Jesse Dixon. He's in for a piece of this as well. Down the inside on Chris Walton.
Good aggressive driving from Jesse. Obviously a fairly new rookie to the series, doing a great job moving through traffic, especially, you know, someone who can biff back. It's Chris Walton.
He did get himself into a little bit of drama and lost a race win in the first round in Adelaide for a bump pass. He did it on his own teammate, Ryan Hansford. But
I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, you never know. But he does add plenty of life and colour to the Utes, and that's what we love. But Harris has got away. He's on his way home to a race win, not the round win, though. Marjoram was locked up in the background. Looks like Cedars has done enough here to hang on to.
Yeah, I think he should be able to defend from there. He's done a good job. Oh, Marjoram up on the inside of McNally. That looks like it could still play out a little bit.
Cedars will block the line down to the final turn. Harris is not one to worry because he is going to claim the final race of the weekend. David Cedars just needs to hang on for second and he'll pick up the round win at Barbagallo. He will get there. So Ryle Harris wins race 3. Cedars wins the round. So it's good news for Ford fans all round. Gary Baxter kept them honest. Reece McNally was among it too. The young drivers are starting to really step it up, and Ryle Harris has turned it into a bit of a drift session down at turn 1. Recapping the results, Longhurst 6 from Stephen White. Nathan Pretty next. Jesse Dick and Kim Jane rounded out the top 10. George will be in action in the Dunlop Series later on. The V8 Supercars, though, not too far away from Barbagallo Raceway with their next race.